Hello there.
Good afternoon, Garrick.
How are you, Lucas?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks.
That's good. Excellent, excellent. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us. I really appreciate it. We got there eventually.
Oh, that's all right. It'll be good to get down on the road after all this, won't it?
Almost got to that point. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How's the weather and things? You're in Arrowtown, aren't you?
Yes, we are in Arrowtown. Yes, well, the weather we've been having, we've had the most wonderful weather for so long that it couldn't last, and it didn't. So we've had a miserable week the last week, but it just as you speaking now, must be the effect you have on people. The sun's come out. It's quite gloomy and cold today, but suddenly the sun's out in the last 10 minutes, so things are looking up.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, look, so, we sent through the questions when we were first sort of talking a few weeks ago. I've got those in front of me, and that's a guide. So we just really want to...
Oh, well, I'm pleased you've got them, because I haven't, and I don't really recall getting them. So
that's
just
all
as
good.
Well, you've got them.
That's all good. Now, so we keep it pretty conversational, pretty casual. So I'm recording you now through a microphone in my car. And we'll get into essentially just want to learn a little bit about yourself, your cartooning. We want to briefly touch on what's the controversy at the ODT a few years ago, which I'm sure you've talked a lot about over time, and then a bit about your painting and politics, and just see where it goes. Are you on have you got a time limit there, Garrick?
No, according to my doctor, I've got weeks. So we're right.
Excellent. Good to hear. Alrighty, so tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Garrick Tremain?
The main thing is I'm not very interesting. That's the first disappointment for you. But, yeah.
Other people might beg to differ. How did you get into cartooning, etc.? When did that first come about?
Cartooning was the desire to try cartooning was a childhood thing, really. I was always fascinated by cartoons, and even I can think as a school kid, if you went to the dentist or a doctor or wherever, and there was a waiting room, the magazines that I went for were always the ones that had cartoons in them.
Yes,
and because I just found them, and I thought it would be lovely to do that. I had a feeling that I could do it, rather, but. What I particularly liked was I thought how wonderful to be able to get a spot of shit off your liver, if you like, and have such a wide audience. I've always believed, right from the time I was a child, that an opinion kept to yourself is no opinion at all. Really.
Yes.
So how wonderful to be able to express your opinions and foist them on a whole lot of unsuspecting people. Which is, I suppose, what I'm still doing to some extent.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. No, your cartoons do get shared around a bit online. I'm not too sure how aware you are of that occurring, but throughout Facebook and other places, they definitely do get shared around. They still
I'm aware they get around. I have nothing to do with putting them on Facebook. I don't understand anything about Facebook really, and I don't want to know. I'm the most non-techno person that there is, but I do understand they get out there and all over the place. What happens is that I email off to a group of people, about 400 people every day.
Right.
Every day I do a cartoon, which is most days. And this comes about because when I did suddenly go into hibernation, and I decided I didn't want to be in the ODT anymore, the readers, I had a very solid readership there, and a number of people went to the trouble of getting in touch with me, which wasn't easy to do. I'm not easy to find.
Understand.
And said, please, you're not stopping cartooning, are you? And so I replied to all of them and said, I haven't decided. But if you're interested, I'll take your email address, and if I do any more cartoons, I will email them to you. So currently I'm emailing to about 400 people, not all of them in New Zealand. They get further afield.
Yeah.
But, so that's pretty much... Several of those send them on to many people. I know people who send them on to another 25 people, and I've no idea how far they go.
Yeah.
Nor have I any idea, I might tell you, how many more cartoons there'll be. I'm always saying there won't be any more.
Gotcha.
This is a common conversation in our house, and my wife says, oh, for God's sake, you've been saying that for 34 years. Just shut up,
Do you think it'll be just one day you'll wake up and, right, that's it, I'm done?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I think. Well, I don't think I've got anything to prove anymore.
Yes.
I'm not getting any financial return from it. I don't charge for the cartoons.
Gotcha.
I'm very happy that I don't charge for it because I'm beholden to nobody and I don't have to do them.
Yes.
So I quite enjoy that freedom.
Yes.
But I'm just not sure how long it'll keep going. And I still have people. I've had 2 today, emails coming in. Could I please go on your list? I believe you've got a list that goes around. And I think, dear, oh dear, you've left it a bit late. There might only be one more cartoon, but I've been saying that for years, as my wife says. So.
Yeah, I understand those feelings sometimes. Yeah, and look, in terms of your readership at the ODT, so I'm actually from down that way. So my family's all in Dunedin. I grew up in Southland.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. So my mum and dad and my sister and that are all there, and so I grew up in Southland, and so it was a fairly regular thing. Dad and I used to have many conversations about your cartoons in the ODT, and did follow the controversy, as it were, when that sort of kicked off in 2019. So give us your sort of outline or how you see it all went with what happened at the ODT for the people that don't understand that story or don't know that story.
Yeah.
Give us a bit of background.
Well, you weren't correct when you said to me that I've probably discussed this many times, and it's not true. I've seldom been asked.
Excellent.
And I don't dwell on it either.
Sure.
But what happened, to be as short as possible, what happened was I produced a cartoon, and it was not a great cartoon at all. There are some cartoons that I'm very pleased with, and some that I just think, it's just a cartoon. It was just a gag, really, and it was a joke on the English language and how the word spot can be taken into totally different things was the thing. But however, the word spot was used in conjunction with the measles epidemic that was going on in Samoa at the time.
Gotcha.
So all of a sudden, the world now full of people who are desperate for something to be offended by, all got on their bikes and all hell broke loose. The Otago Daily Times went into panic mode. They were running around in little snivelling circles, petrified of their own shadows. And anyway, they said, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And we've got police at the building. There are pickets outside the building, and there's this, that, and the other thing. Well, I was getting a fair bit of flack. We had the phone off the hook here for 2 or 3 days. We were getting lots of calls, death threats, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, death threats?
And
goodness.
Oh yes. Yeah. So yes. Oh well, there's some very strange people out there.
Yes.
The ODT took it terribly seriously. I don't know why, because if they'd looked at the 30, 40 or 50 people that were surrounding the buildings with the placards, they could clearly have seen there was probably only 2 of them who could read anyway. So I don't think it would have affected their readership. But however, they immediately, the next thing I got was a phone call the next day from their lawyers, saying the editor has asked us to contact you, to arrange a meeting with us, so that we can discuss how from now on we can vet cartoons going into the paper.
Okay.
I'll come back to that in a minute.
Sure.
This cartoon I thought wasn't very good, and I realised that the timing with the measles epidemic was probably a bit sensitive. So I thought, I'll send it to them anyway. It's not my decision whether it's published or not.
Yep, fair enough.
And I had a second option there, as I do. I've often done that when I've thought I mightn't get away with this. They might not want to publish this, and if I agree with their reasons, then I'll say, well, look, I've got another one for you. That was that occasion. Yep. But I never heard from them. They just published it, bang, and it went.
Right.
And anyway, going back to this lawyer rang me up. Yes, we're going to have this conversation about vetting, how we can come up with a structure for vetting cartoons to go into the paper in the future. And you must be joking. I don't want to talk about the ODT. I'm no longer interested in having my work in the newspaper. Because they did such a hatchet job on me, they published full pages of letters saying what bastard I was. I had people emailing me letters saying, I'm sending you this because I've sent it to the ODT and they've ignored it, they won't publish it. There's lots of people writing in support of me, but they wouldn't publish it.
So there was a clear bias.
Anyway, I decided that I didn't want to be part of it anymore. I have no regrets about that at all.
Yeah, sure.
But that, in short, is what happened. Yeah. And I did, as you say, continue cartooning. I've been doing it since for the last 2.5 years or something.
Yep. Yep.
Right up until tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, got you. Excellent. Yeah, no, I did note that. I think you may have mentioned it in your interview with the platform around the bias that the ODTs.
I may have. Yes.
Yeah,
that's probably the only other time I've been asked to detail
got
this.
you.
What went on. I've had people saying to me for years, since you got sacked by the ODT. Well, I didn't actually, but I don't mind. I just ignore that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Absolutely. So, yeah, it's just interesting to hear that. Well, two things that I would pick out of that sort of to carry the conversation on with. And that is the bias, like I say, that you were getting, emails and calls of support while they printed nothing but the disparaging side of things. I guess it was probably to reinforce their outrage, I suppose, from an organisational perspective. But in terms of New Zealand as a whole and the political side of things, I want to touch on that briefly. And your thoughts around the state of things at the moment. That's obviously in a long line and probably 10 years. I don't know. We could throw any figure out there with regards to the gradual decline in acceptability of differing views, of the tolerance for anything.
The rise of wokeness, you say.
Yeah, I was gonna sort of say that as the last description, but you're exactly right. That encompasses it now. The absolute rise of wokeness. So. And he's cut off. We shall call the man back. Did you get all of what that last question, or let me just ask it again anyway. Let's do it that way.
Just ask it again. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So yeah, I mean the rise of wokeness is what we were touching on. Obviously as an elder gentleman, and you've got opinions around a lot. Obviously more recently, your stronger opinions through your cartoons in terms of the political landscape. What are your thoughts on the state of New Zealand at the moment? What's the biggest concern for you, or just any kind of general commentary you'd like to offer about what's happening with New Zealand and this Labour government, etc.?
Well, just to refer to your term, the rise of wokeness, I'll just add that before things came to a halt with the ODT, I had been considering packing in there anyway because I had become aware of this in their attitude. And I found myself, after years of publishing without any problem at all and enjoying a good readership, all of a sudden I was having to argue very hard for cartoons and reminding them of the cartoons that don't say anything, don't offend anybody, and that was what they wanted.
Gotcha.
And which is what they've got now. But yeah, so how do I think about New Zealand now? It's really the question, and I'm not answering. I'm not behaving very well here. Yes,
you're doing well.
I think it's extremely sad.
Yep.
What's happening, to watch the destruction of this country. It's been probably one of the best democracies in the world.
Yes.
Certainly of all other countries, one of the most exemplary race records.
Yep.
And now it's being destroyed by a bunch of people who really have set their sights on, they see places like Zimbabwe and Rwanda as examples for us to follow with tribal rule. We all know how successful tribal rule can be because we've seen those countries. And that's what they want. That's what they're determined to get.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievably sad because they're destroying so much. And the things in which we excelled are just going downhill at such a rate now. I mean, it's so obvious you barely need to mention education, which has gone from one of the highest in the OECD to the bottom.
Yes.
Children leaving school without any ability to write or count now.
Yep.
The health system is an appalling state of affairs.
Yes.
This current regime is the biggest disaster that we've seen. I've seen a few disasters.
Yes, I can imagine.
In my time. I'm not a voter,
Yep.
and I have no intention of being a voter.
Mm-hmm.
But I follow what's going on very intently.
Yep.
And this is by far an appalling government.
Yeah. So I've picked up there what you're saying, Garrick, in terms of Garrick. Sorry. That a lot of the co-governance stuff and some of the attacks on democracy around, like, i.e. that Rotorua electorate attempt to dilute things there, all of that stuff is the largest concern there. What are your thoughts?
Well, no country that I know of has ever very successfully got away with trying to run the country racially.
Yes.
And I don't know why they try. It's just failed and been disaster, misery, wherever it's been tried eventually.
Yes. Yes, I absolutely, I hear what you're saying there. What about the, do you have any thoughts on like this, the green agenda is another big one that seems to be, we've focused a bit about it on Kiwi Voice, over the last few weeks. Obviously the protests in Holland and what's happening to Sri Lanka, and a lot of that's around, some of this green regulation or green policy, that they're doing.
That's another disaster, really. I think that, and the rise in this religion, this climate religion that's taken over now, I think is absolutely to the detriment of everybody. It's so ridiculous.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and that's what we're looking for. Is absolutely looking for your opinion. That is the concern with a lot of people, a lot of our viewership as well. Is absolutely that there's a combination of things.
How we can have people that believe that nonsense running the country is just something that is so hard to fathom. I can't believe it.
Yeah,
however,
absolutely.
We're stuck with at the moment.
It is indeed, and what are your thoughts on what's going to happen and going into the next election?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. Everybody seems to be predicting now that she'll go, that Jacinda will be swept away to the United Nations or the World Economic Forum or wherever she's got her sights set.
Correct.
But if that happens, she's got to be replaced, and there isn't a replacement at the moment. I mean, National are in an appalling state of affairs. Luxon is just a totally a man of straw.
Yes.
He hasn't made a stand on any issue at all that he thinks he's a bit like the ADT. If he doesn't say anything at all, well, he's not going to offend anybody. And that's not what the country needs at the moment. We need leadership. We need strength of character.
Yes.
We need a bit of honesty. And so we've had enough of dishonesty. I don't know when these lies are going to stop.
Yes.
It's been a race between Jacinda and Boris to get the cup for that one.
Yeah, good call. Yep.
I don't know, really.
Yeah. No, it is. I hear what you're saying. There's a lot of other minor parties, but whether there'll be any traction there, you're exactly right. Well, a lot of the feeling.
The only one that seems to talk any sense at all, and he won't, unfortunately, get enough support to make any difference, is David Seymour.
Okay.
And I was bitterly disappointed in him when I do know David Seymour, and I've had a couple of email correspondences with him, and I wished him well, but he disappointed me mightily when he didn't stand up and meet the people at the demonstrations at Parliament. I thought he made a bad mistake there. He had a chance to paint himself as a man of some principle, but he missed it.
Yes, no, I agree with you on that too. There's been a bit of that feeling out there. Probably a good thing to move into is around the whole COVID situation, the mandates and all that stuff. I pick up that you were anti the mandate side of things and thought that was a bit of infringement on people's rights. Is that a fair assumption?
No, it's not. No, I don't know. I don't quite know where I stand on that. I mean, personally, and if anybody be interested, I am vaccinated and I've had the boosters and all that.
Yep.
I haven't done it with any great enthusiasm or pride because I'm not quite sure whether it's the right thing to do.
Gotcha.
But I've gone along with the herd and I've done it.
Yes.
And but I think the government's handling of it, which we all thought was so brilliant at the start, because we were isolated and weren't letting anybody in, we didn't have it here, and oh God, it's working, isn't she brilliant? We've discovered now that that's finished, that it's in, that we're not so clever after all. It didn't work.
Yes, correct.
And it's a great shame, all the businesses that have been driven to the wall, the suicides that have eventuated through all that pressure and stress.
Yes.
That's also something that a price that is never discussed, but it's out there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it does need to be discussed more, for sure. The offshoots of what's happened with lockdown and there's a whole
lot of people out there now, and they're all hankering around in the universities. They're trying to stop everybody discussing everything about what they think is right. So it's difficult to discuss things now.
Unfortunately, yes. We just had Kiwi Voice has been going for 6 or 7 months now, growing quite rapidly, but we just had our first case of censorship yesterday, in terms of a story that I posted up on Facebook, and it got taken down and told that it breached community standards, and I just can't figure out why. and there's no way where you can appeal it, but they're saying they've got no staff to check the appeal, which is what they would usually do. So yeah.
What is it relation to what?
So it was in relation to a family that's currently on Tokelau, that they have they're under New Zealand citizens, but they're dealing with issues, still being locked down essentially for COVID.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And they've appealed, and a few of us independent media people have chucked it out there to say, hey, look, this is still happening. It's there was a second bit of coverage I'd done on it, and it got taken down. So and it appears.
Oh well, thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting times, but that's just one example of us. But you're right, the censorship is rife at the moment. I mean, you could even say that your dealings at the ODT, that's a form of censorship, essentially, right? If you can't laugh at things, regardless how dark it might be, or if without. It's concerning.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, I've personally believed all the time I've been cartooning, much longer than that really, that there is no subject which should be taboo for satire.
Correct.
At all. I think they should all be satirised if they deserve to be so. But I do agree there are times when it's not appropriate.
Yes.
For example, a mass murder by David Gray when he shot all those people in Arawa, going back before you were born, Lucas, probably.
I remember Arawa quite well. Yep.
Yeah, you can do some very cutting cartoons on gun laws, for example, and gun control. But I don't think that day or the day after the day to do them. I think you wait a week and put them in. So, but as I say, everything's open, so that the timing can be. Should be given some consideration.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're 100% right. There are still, even for
that's where I fell over with that cartoon about Spots, really, because it was in the middle of the Samoan measles epidemic. Had it been in a week later or 2 weeks later, it wouldn't have been a ripple.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yep, no, and I agree with you as well. Well, just to finish off on a slightly lighter note, so you're a painter as well, Garrick, is that right?
Yeah, well, yes, I was saying that with my tongue in my cheek at the moment, because I'm not. I haven't painted for some time. I've been a painter since we came to Queenstown, 1971. I started painting. I brought up my family as a painter, and had a wonderful life doing it. It was great, but then I got into cartooning as a part-time thing.
Yeah.
When I approached a newspaper, once I discovered the fax machine. And I thought, God, I could do cartooning now if I can find the paper. So I found the ODT.
Yep.
And I started taking a couple of hours a day to do a cartoon as well. And I'm still cartooning, but no longer painting. I stopped painting a couple of years ago.
Okay.
It's not a permanent stop. I hope it's not, because I've got painting materials coming out of my ears here, and I've got so many brushes and high quality papers and superb rolls of canvas and that to use up. So I better get on and use them up, really.
Absolutely, that sounds like a plan to me. You definitely should. Hey, look, it's been awesome talking to you. I really do appreciate getting your thoughts on politics and telling us the story of the ODT and all of that stuff. It's been really cool. If you're, obviously you're not on Facebook, but on the internet, we're under yourkiwivoice.co.nz. And this will be up.
And I can pick you up there and listen to you there, can I?
Yeah, so I need to edit that because I've got this on a video, so I'll edit it all, like I say, and add some cartoons over the top and all of that. And I'll probably be uploading it later tonight, if not early in the morning. Should be available for you with your coffee tomorrow morning.
Oh, look, that's something to look forward to.
Excellent.
You have a good rest of the day, and I'm sorry about whatever that drama was in the middle of this conversation.
No, that's okay. No worries at all.
Because you're editing that out.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay. Thanks, Garrett. Appreciate talking to you.
Okay, Lucas.
See you later. Bye-bye. Interesting conversation with a really interesting guy. I appreciated him taking the time to yarn with us, and having his thoughts on censorship, wokeness, and the state of New Zealand. Stay safe, stay free. We'll see you again real soon.